before we get into today's events, let's make sure everyone is up to speed on what the Crusades are.
Since the founding of Islam, there have been several conflicts between Christians and Muslims. Many Christian holy sites came under the control of Islamic nations and peoples, and Christians were unable to make the same pilgrimages they used to, sometimes even being persecuted.
The Crusades began as a unified military response from Christians seeking to recover custody of holy sites in the Holy Land that had fallen under Muslim control centuries earlier. They also had the goal of ending heresies being told by certain groups targeted by the Crusaders, and possibly even the reunification of the Eastern and Western churches.
However, the Crusades were incredibly violent wars for all those involved, and even led to the harsh persecution of Muslims and Jews and violence hidden under the intentions of the Inquisition.
Today's broadcast will focus on the Third Crusade, also known as the King's Crusade, which occurred from 1189 to 1192, led by King Philip II of France, Holy Roman Emperor Frederick Barbarossa, and King Richard the Lionheart of England. The goal of this crusade was to recapture Jerusalem from the Muslims after it fell in 1187 to Muslim Emperor Saladin.
At first, it appeared the Crusaders might have a chance to take the city back. The Crusaders led two successful sieges at Acre and Arsuf. The siege of Acre in 1191 was especially significant because the city was already under attack weeks beforehand, and the Crusaders were able to capture it in its entirety. The city was finally captured on the 12th of July, 1191 CE, and with it significantly 70 ships and the bulk of Saladin's navy, which took a major blow to Saladin's forces.
However, that was the last bit of success the Crusaders would see. Although Richard the Lionheart managed to nearly reach Jerusalem, his army had been so reduced by the various battles over the past 2 years that he would most likely not be able to hold it against an inevitable counterattack. Frederick Barbarossa had already died at this point, and Saladin's army took over the city of Jaffa. Although Richard managed to take back the city in 1192, it made no difference in the overall crusade, and since he was needed back in England, the entire affair was left behind.
Richard and Saladin reached an agreement where the Crusaders could keep some land around the Acre, and protection of Christians was ensured. But the Third Crusade was considered a failure for not completing its goal of reclaiming Jerusalem. Let's hear it right from the source, shall we? King Richard, people are saying you're a failure. How do you respond?
I may have failed to retake Jerusalem, but in every other way, the crusade was a great success.
And pray tell, what was the goal of the crusade?
To retake Jerusalem.
Thought so. And Saladin, your thoughts?
I think this is an absolute win.
How so?
I withstood Richard's onslaught and managed to retain control over most of my empire. The treaty recognizes Jerusalem as a Muslim territory. All is right in the world.
There's no need to brag about it.
Okay, let's head back to the studio.
History remembered the Third Crusade as a failure, although it was the closest a Crusader army ever got to the city of Jerusalem, and they even conquered Acre and won a major battle in the Battle of Arsuf.
That's right. Unfortunately, they just couldn't make it work in the end. It started out with the three kings leading the army: Frederick Barbarossa of Germany, Philip II of France, and Richard I of England. Unfortunately, after Frederick died, their troops were outnumbered.
And Philip and Richard had to return to their respective countries to deal with domestic affairs. Thus, although the Crusade started off strong, it is ultimately remembered as a failure.